Hiya. Yeah, one last post about Spaceport Norway event. Big ups to organizers, Ola Dokka. You did a kick-ass job. I have to say, it was great organization on the whole conference. People were very professional. Also, big ups to ESA, European Space Agency. You came with a full load of people, full contingent. I think you were about 12 people, very professional people at that. John Werner, you came and talked. Great meeting, yeah. Appreciated the conversation also. Time to talk after the Q&A. And your sincerity in identifying these comets as possibly not being dirty snowballs anymore. You will take a big leap in all areas of science once this is, fully understood. And as I point out, McCanney's plasma discharge comet model seems to be the right one. So if you don't know it, you should study it. Yeah, this is why I'm recording this. I wanted to make a rundown of the bullet points I talked about during the conference. I think I probably brought something to the table that was needed. Bigger vision from being like who I am, pretty much self-sufficient with God's help and some good friends and family. I still forge ahead, not doubting for a minute that we can do this. Not by rockets, but by electromagnetic vehicles that we can fly. Would require little, if any, fuel. These will be passive drives. So I talked a bit about that. I talked about the space station. How come we only have one space station when we need a lot of them? And why is the one space station we have just a really small and flimsy one? Why do we fly all these rockets up here with these big tubes? You reach zero gravity, low Earth orbit, and you expended quite a lot of fuel, a lot of air, a lot of money to get it up there, and you drop it back down when, as a matter of fact, these are quite good materials to build a space station with. If you look at how Werner von Braun, you know him, of course, he envisioned the space stations to look. They would be like a lot of tubes just bundled together in a big circle, big wheel with spokes and a central axis. All this can be done with using these rocket tubes, I believe. And then further, I talked about a real vision for space should include how do you get 1.5 million people self-sufficient in space stations all around the solar system, all three dimensions, not just along the axis of the orbits of the planets, but also up and below the sun. You do this in 5 years, 1.5 million. That's a big, lofty goal. What needs to happen for humanity to take that crucial step? That was another talking point. I also had quite a few discussions on the surface of Venus versus the surface of Mars. How Venus shows all signs of being a very fresh planet with a volcanic surface, and that will eventually, simmer down and harden and will become a rocky surface as Earth was once. Earth once was. before soil gets added. The atmosphere in Venus is full of clouds. This is from the volcans that spits out materials all the time and blocks the sun from coming in. But all this ash, it will fall down eventually, and it will start building soil, if you can imagine that. Versus what we see on Mars, where it's already shows signs of having had recent geological activity. You find riverbeds among other things, and you find many things that looks like it's not so long since it used to be a quite fertile planet, or a living planet at least. It's in its stages of rebuilding its atmosphere. Yes, and then included, of course, the McCanney wing generator, along with that water abundance Xprize, using the harvesting techniques in the proposal. It's lightweight. The McCanney wing generator weighs very little, and I can envision it driving electricity on Mars, building habitable space stations or ground stations there. Absolutely, I do. I talked about how to get through the VanAllen belt. That was an interesting discussion. There are two groups of people I found quickly. Those that says the VanAllen belts are not a problem, space radiation is not a problem, we don't have to discuss it. And the other group of people were people that like, do we have to talk about the VanAllen belt? And clearly being a bit awkward about the whole discussion, fully knowing that the radiation and X-rays and alpha, beta, and gamma, and all those things come zipping by there like the speed and velocity of relativistic protons. Yeah, it was a different kind of conference to go to, absolutely, and one that definitely, yeah, it made a lot for me, made a lot of sense to talk with people that could talk intelligently about space for hours on end without, running out of things to say. Usually when you talk with people about outer space, it's like 2 minutes and you are the crazy person. So good to get around people who are real in that sense. We were also hinting at the rocket problem, how rockets basically are too inefficient to take us into the stars in large numbers. You also have to factor in what is termed the rocket problem. The bigger the load you put on rockets, the more fuel you have to carry to get it up where you want to. And in addition to that, you also need to put on more fuel to carry the fuel that you need to carry it up there. So for each ton you add, you have to add exponentially more fuel. So in the end, it will be like it cannot be done. It will rockets have been great for what it's been a technology that have served us thus far, but it has some very clear limitations, and as a species we should find some other ways of reaching through the stars. Yeah, those were the bullet points I focused on. There was also discussions about batteries, about Velikovsky. We talked plenty about satellites, I told you, and satellite communication. Very little focus on the health dangers of 5G network that is now coming full steam all over. It's a bit sad to see that this discussion is not being, considered. Even if it is a space conference, it does have some bearing on us as a species, I would say. In many aspects, if the 5G ruptures DNA, then it will be only a time question before our genetic strain will start to suffer in a big way. Maybe even mutating us in areas we cannot foretell. Yeah, a bit stern there. However, yeah, I enjoyed the conference once again, and what more, I look forward to next year. And for all you people who like to follow and wonder who James McCanney is, you should visit him at his webpage. It's jmccsci.com. I repeat, jmccsci.com. Okay, and for me, you can follow me around on the social media networks, and yeah, please say hello. I'm happy. Okay, cheerio.